New York City, a global metropolis, pulsating with ceaseless energy. It stands as a testament to centuries of dynamic evolution. Its iconic skyline and bustling streets, though, only hint at a profound history, a story that stretches back millennia. The enduring spirit of New York is deeply rooted in this multifaceted past. It's a narrative shaped by successive waves of inhabitants, pivotal conflicts, and relentless innovation. At the very heart of this story lies the city's unique geography, its excellent harbors and intricate network of waterways. This wasn't just a convenient feature. It consistently served as a foundational element of New York's destiny, essentially predetermining its role as a commercial hub and eventually a global capital. You see, the physical landscape of New York wasn't merely a backdrop for its history. It was an active participant, influencing everything from early indigenous settlement patterns to colonial ambitions and later industrial growth. This powerful geographical advantage established a trajectory for the city, one that would see it become a nexus of trade, migration, and vibrant cultural exchange. Join Origin Lens as we uncover the hidden history of the world's most iconic metropolis. Before any European ship touched these shores, the New York region was Lenapehoking, the vibrant homeland of the Lenape people. For over 9,000 years, an estimated 20,000 Lenape thrived here, organized into intricate clans. Their profound connection to the land was based on communal stewardship, a stark contrast to the European concept of private ownership. This fundamental difference set the stage for a devastating clash, revealing that New York's true origin story stretches back millennia, far beyond its colonial beginnings. Understanding New York's true origin requires a crucial shift in perspective. We must move from a simplified colonial myth to a more complex and accurate historical reality. Our flowchart illustrates this process. Complex society. The Lenape were organized into dozens of autonomous communities with intricate kinship networks and established systems of governance and justice. Extensive trade routes connected the Lenape to other nations across the continent, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. Sustainable stewardship. Through practices like seasonal migration and controlled burns, the Lenape actively shaped and managed their environment to ensure long-term abundance. The first recorded European exploration of the site that would later become New Amsterdam occurred in 1524, when Italian explorer Giovanni da Verrazzano named it Nouvelle Angoulême, nearly a century before the Dutch arrived. However, it was Henry Hudson, sailing for the Dutch Republic aboard the Halve Maan in 1609, who first extensively explored the area around what is now New York Bay. The deal gone sour. In May-June 1626, Peter Minuit gives 60 guilders worth of goods to a Lenape group.
The Dutch believe they have legally bought Manhattan Island forever. The frustration. On May 25, 1660, 34 years later, Dutch council minutes complain that the savages would not remove from the land that they had bought, proving the cultural disconnect was real and persistent.
The Dutch West India Company establishes the colony of New Netherland.
The settlement is named New Amsterdam. The first enslaved Africans are brought to the colony. Peter Stuyvesant becomes Director General, beginning a period of major growth.
New Amsterdam officially receives municipal rights and becomes a city. The arrival of Europeans in the 1600s had devastating effects on the Lenape people. Deadly diseases like smallpox decimated their population, killing an estimated 85% within a century. Those who survived were pushed from their ancestral lands through unfair treaties and forced westward. Events like the Walking Purchase stripped them of over 1 million acres. Caught in colonial wars and facing cultural erosion, the Lenape suffered immense loss. Yet, despite everything, their descendants continue to preserve and honor their rich heritage today. On the other hand, the settlement became a magnet for people from all over the world. This foundational multiculturalism was a sign of things to come for the future New York City. By 1643, a visitor reported that an astonishing 18 different languages were spoken in the settlement. The Conquest of 1664. The English takeover unfolded swiftly over a few key months. It was a mission driven by royal decree and executed with strategic precision, capitalizing on the internal weaknesses of the Dutch colony. King Charles II of England formally grants the American territory between the Delaware and Connecticut rivers to his brother, James, Duke of York. This grant explicitly includes New Netherland, setting the stage for a direct confrontation. April 1664. Colonel Richard Nichols is appointed Lieutenant Governor of the new proprietary colony and dispatched with 4 warships and around 300 soldiers. His mission is to seize New Netherland and settle boundary disputes in New England. August 1664. Fleet arrives. Nichols' squadron arrives off New Amsterdam. He demands surrender, but offers liberal terms, a strategic move to preserve the colony's value. Director General Peter Stuyvesant finds himself without local support to mount a defense. September 1664. Surrender and renaming. Stuyvesant formally surrenders on August 27th by the English calendar. The Articles of Surrender are signed on September 6th. New Amsterdam is immediately renamed New York. Soon after, Fort Orange is surrendered peacefully and renamed Albany. The British takeover in 1664 was not a simple land grab. It was a calculated strategic move driven by a complex web of imperial, political, and economic ambitions. The goal was to consolidate power, eliminate rivals, and enforce a unified vision for British North America. A primary goal was eliminating the Dutch as commercial rivals. New York was a hub for smugglers who circumvented the Navigation Acts, costing the Crown an estimated £10,000 annually in lost customs revenue. The conquest was key to enforcing British mercantilism. With its deep natural harbor and the Hudson River providing access deep into the continent, New York was a critical port and a vital military waterway. Controlling it meant controlling access between New England and the southern colonies. The British constructed the massive Upper Barracks, a 420-foot-long building to house 800 soldiers, placing the city under the Army's direct gaze.
By centralizing their operations, the British inadvertently concentrated the instruments of their power and the sources of colonial discontent in one place. The very symbols of control, the fort, the barracks, the royal officials, became clear targets for protest and organization, turning a hub of power into a nexus of resistance.
A slow and deliberative revolution.
(1765) Stamp Act Congress. New York hosts delegates from 9 colonies to protest taxation without representation, an early unified act of resistance. 1775. A hesitant Congress. The New York Provincial Congress sends a plan to the Continental Congress that still recognizes the authority of the British Crown, highlighting its cautious stance.
July 9, 1776, Declaration of Independence. After initially abstaining from the vote for independence, New York's delegation finally approves. On the same day, citizens tear down the statue of King George III, melting it into 42,088 cannonballs.
1777. Statehood. The first New York State Constitution is adopted, formally establishing its own government.
How New York City transformed in the 19th century from a bustling port into the undisputed economic capital of a nation through finance, infrastructure, industry, and immigration.
In 1790, Alexander Hamilton's visionary plan had the federal government assume New York's massive Revolutionary War debt. This strategic move unshackled the city's economy, cementing its role as the nation's financial capital.
The most telling sign of New York's meteoric rise was its staggering population growth. This demographic boom provided the workforce and the market that fueled its industrial and commercial dominance. By the year 1900, the population was estimated to be around 3.5 million.
The 1790 federal assumption of state war debts freed New York's economy to grow and cemented its place as the nation's financial heart. Then came the Erie Canal. Finished in 1825, this 363-mile waterway linked the Atlantic to the Great Lakes, transforming trade overnight. Shipping costs dropped by 95%, and the canal paid for itself in just 9 years. Finance and infrastructure, the twin pillars that made New York City unstoppable. At the heart of a rising empire, New York became more than a port. It became a machine. By 1887, the Sugar Trust had formed, turning the city into the nation's sugar bowl and consolidating near total control. Meanwhile, New York outpaced Boston and Philadelphia, becoming the publishing capital of America, home to giants like Harper Brothers and Scribner. And the dime novel made reading affordable for the masses. But no engine roared louder than the garment trade. Immigrant labor and the sewing machine turned cramped lofts into sweatshops. New York's rise wasn't without scars. Its story is one of crisis and comeback. In 1835, fire engulfed Lower Manhattan. 700 buildings lost. But from the ashes, a bold transformation. Manhattan's evolution into a commercial powerhouse began. In 1873, railroad speculation triggered another collapse. The New York Stock Exchange shut its doors for 10 days, the first time in history. The depression that followed was long, but it forced reform, centralization, and ultimately reinforced Wall Street's dominance. In New York, crisis wasn't the end. It was a crucible for reinvention. The pillars of modern New York City.
In the 1830s, contaminated water sources led to devastating cholera epidemics. The monumental Croton Aqueduct, a 41-mile gravity-fed channel, brought clean water from Westchester County, drastically reducing waterborne diseases and enabling the city's population to grow safely.
1845, establishment of the New York Police Department. (1865), professionalized firefighting began, unified across all boroughs in 1898.
The Department of Street Cleaning was created in 1881, with mandated recycling starting as early as 1895.
Brooklyn Bridge, 1883, the world's longest suspension bridge for 2 decades.
In 1904, New York City unveiled its first subway line. The Interborough Rapid Transit System eased surface congestion, connected distant neighborhoods, and gave rise to the true 24/7 city. Manhattan Bridge, 1909. The Manhattan Bridge was a technological leap forward, the first to use deflection theory, which allowed for a much lighter and more elegant design. This innovation made it the prototype for modern suspension bridges for the next half-century. It provided a crucial third link across the East River, further relieving congestion and accelerating the integration of Brooklyn and Manhattan. The Holland Tunnel, 1927, Lincoln Tunnel, 1937, and Queens Midtown Tunnel, 1940, were key engineering feats that revolutionized urban mobility, connecting Manhattan to New Jersey and Long Island, and establishing New York City as a critical transportation hub.
Today, New York City continues to evolve, shaped by shifting demographics and a bold new economy. Its population has more than doubled since 1900, driven by waves of immigration that have transformed the city into one of the most diverse urban centers on Earth. Once the beating heart of American manufacturing, the city now thrives on innovation, creativity, and inclusive growth. From the Bronx to Staten Island, neighborhoods are being reimagined with investments in small businesses, affordable housing, and public spaces. But beneath the skyscrapers and subways lies New York's true legacy, its resilience. Time and again, from pandemics and war to financial collapse and tragedy, the city has not only recovered, it has redefined itself. A living mosaic of cultures, a crucible of reinvention, and a beacon to the world, New York is more than a city. It's an idea that never stops evolving.
Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. If you're as fascinated by the origins of our world as we are, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Origin Lens for more deep dives into the epic tales that shaped our reality.